Yo, the Nintendo Switch 2 has finally landed, and for many gamers, myself included, this has been one of the most anticipated hardware launches in years. Nintendo has been long overdue for a successor to the original Switch, and now that it's here, I personally got it on launch day and I've spent the last couple of days digging into what it has to offer. Believe me when I say there is a lot to like. The upgraded visuals, improved Joy-Cons, better build quality, and the ability to run games like Cyberpunk 2077 on a handheld console are all incredibly impressive. With that being said, not everything is sunshine and Mario Kart, and if you're wondering whether the Switch 2 is worth buying, I'm going to kind of give you 5 issues that I personally found, followed by an overall look as to whether this is actually worth buying or not. If you're an existing Switch owner like myself, getting your data over to the new console is, I would say, a process. Transferring profiles, cloud saves, and game licenses isn't difficult thanks to Nintendo's clear instructions, but it's time consuming and made worse if, say, your old console is dead and you have to wait for it to charge, and that's something that I'm guilty of. Add to the fact that I had Mario Kart World as a digital download and I couldn't even play right away. All in, it took me just over an hour before I could actually start gaming. For a new console, I was hoping for a more plug and play vibe, but the reality was a little bit more tedious. Now, keeping it real, we all knew that the battery life would be one of the tougher trade-offs with more powerful hardware, but still, this feels harsh. I unplugged the console at 100%, opened Mario Kart World, and just 5 minutes on the menu dropped me down to 94%. In actual gameplay, the battery fell hard and fast. One race in wireless multiplayer dropped a friend system to 75% in just over 5 minutes. For a long play session or traveling, you're going to want a charger nearby or a massive big battery bank.
Number 3.
The user face to me feels very identical to the original Switch. Sure, it's snappy and familiar, plus yes, the game thumbnails do now have radiuses and the bottom nav looks slightly different, but for a whole new generation of hardware, it just doesn't feel new. Compared to the jump between, let's say, the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5, which to me was definitely noticeable, it gave us a fresh, modern UI. The Switch 2 kind of to me feels a little bit stuck in 2017 from a UI perspective. Where are the customizable themes? Where's the flair? This might sound superficial, but for many of us, part of a new console experience is that wow factor from turning it on for the very first time. Instead, it felt like I was booting up my old Switch again, just with better graphics. Yo, let me be clear, Mario Kart World is great, but beyond that, as someone who already owns a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox Series X with multiple games, the rest of the Switch 2 launch lineups didn't really blow me away. I picked up Cyberpunk 2077, Hitman, and Yakuza 0, but I already own all of them elsewhere. And don't get me wrong, it is really cool to have these on a portable device, but there was nothing truly new that had me racing to dive in. Now, if the Switch 2 is your first console in a while, or you skip the first one, and you don't necessarily have the other consoles such as the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, you're definitely in for a massive treat because there are a lot of great launch titles that will definitely pique your interest. But maybe for someone who already owns a Nintendo Switch or a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series and have played some of these launch titles before, the excitement may fade very fast once Mario Kart wears off.
Number 5.
Games are bigger, storage is limited, and you'll need a micro SD express card, which is expensive and not compatible with your old Nintendo Switch SD cards. Combine that with download speed that feels painfully slow, and you've got a real issue for digital gamers. With someone with such fast internet speed, I was surprised that it took me close to an hour and a half to download Mario Kart World, a 22GB game, and that potentially feeds into my first gripe in terms of why the setup felt a little bit more frustrating than it needed to. Meanwhile, my PlayStation 5 downloads over 100 GB in less than an hour. It's possible Nintendo servers were overloaded at launch, but even so, it was not a great first impression. I had to wait until the next day to even try and boot up Hitman, Yakuza 0, and even Cyberpunk, because yes, they did take quite some time to download, which was a little bit annoying because some of those games are actually game cards, so I did feel like the download would have been quicker than it really was, but at the end of the day, it did take quite a while. $1 million question, is the Nintendo Switch 2 worth buying at this stage? I will say yes, and definitely I'm a massive Nintendo fan, so I'm probably going to come off quite biased. It was a console that I was absolutely looking forward to. I will say that this is definitely a real step up from the original Switch, and I do feel like even the gripes that I have mentioned in this video are kind of just more pet peeves. Nothing really stood out to me that was definitely detrimental for me not owning this console on day one. If I try and be objective and put my biases to one side, I will say that the Nintendo Switch 2 is not a revolutionary console. It's an evolution of what made the original Switch great. If you're new to the Switch ecosystem or haven't gamed handheld in years, this is easily one of the most versatile and exciting devices out there. It looks great, it feels premium, and performs better than any Nintendo console before it. However, if you're a returning Switch owner, you'll notice many of the same quirks. UI, battery, storage issues, and the launch lineup might not justify the upgrade just yet. That said, Mario Kart World is a blast, and having games like Cyberpunk in your hand is seriously cool. Long story short, for those on the fence wondering whether they should buy the Nintendo Switch 2 or not, I will say that if you've missed the original Switch, absolutely grab a Switch 2. If you're upgrading from the original Switch, I do feel like it's definitely a solid step up, but you might want to wait for more killer exclusives down the line and for maybe some of the quirky issues to be ironed out before you dive in. But I would still say personally, I think overall it is still worth buying. Definitely a great handheld device and something that I'm really happy that I got access to, and certainly looking forward to what Nintendo has in store for this amazing console. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments below as to whether I was a little bit too harsh in my criticism. Do you agree with any of the 5 gripes, or are there any other issues that you found with the Nintendo Switch at this early stage? It is a very early stage, and therefore I didn't really want to do like a big review, because to be real, I haven't played it enough to give it a real honest review. I've only had it for the last couple of days or so, so to me that's definitely still not enough time to have a real definitive verdict on the Nintendo Switch 2 at this early stage. As always, if you did enjoy this very quick urban gameplay video, be sure to hit the like button, do hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so before, and until next video, we definitely say peace out, peeps.